Hello, my name is Lilian Okibe. Welcome to another loose natural hair video. In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to make box braids on fussy hair. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then please keep on watching. So before doing any long-term protective style, I always recommend that you wash your hair. So that's exactly what we're doing today. You guys know that I will always wash with Dudu Oshun black soap. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. If you guys want to see like a more detailed wash day routine of her hair, because I've already shared that before on my channel, I'll link it up in the iCards for you guys to see. So I'm basically just spritzing her hair with some water to get it wet, because obviously we're not in the shower. Then I go ahead to apply the black soap on her hair, both on her hair and her scalp. I make sure that I go in there to get really like into the scalp, so that I know that like I'm giving her a good cleansing session. And then as I'm applying the soap, I'm also going ahead to massage her scalp and to do like light finger detangling. All through this process, you guys will see me detangle her hair with just my fingers. I did not use a comb for any of these. Even up to when I braided her hair, I did everything with my fingers, and you guys will see how I was able to achieve that. So you want to make sure that you start to detangle as early as possible, because that will just help to like make the whole process easier for you. And after applying the shampoo, or rather the soap, all over her hair, you guys can see I'm going ahead to give her a nice scalp massage to help lift up all the dirt that may be on her scalp, just so that her scalp will be squeaky clean. One of the things you really need to look out for when doing any long-term protective styles like box braids or anything like that is that you want to make sure that your scalp is clean, because you're going to be exposing your scalp, and you don't want to be having like flakes and dandruff all over. Then after washing her hair, I'm going ahead to deep condition her hair. For today, I'm using my DIY deep conditioner. You guys, I have a video where I show you guys how I make it on my channel. I also leave that in the iCards and also in the description box, so you guys can see as I'm applying the deep conditioner, I'm also going ahead to finger detangle. And you guys can see how easy it is for me to detangle her hair with my fingers, and that's because the deep conditioner that I'm using has a lot of sleep. I also added some Ayurvedic herbs in the mixture. I'll leave a list of all the herbs I added in the description box for you guys to see. So I'm going ahead to apply the deep conditioner, and as I'm applying, I'm also applying on her scalp, just because like I always say every time I use this deep conditioner, the ingredients are scalp friendly, so you can apply on your scalp, but normally you should not apply deep conditioner on your scalp. So I'm working that in, and I'm using my fingers to just like dig in and just remove shed hairs, remove tangles, remove knots, and like just start out the detangling process. Basically, I always recommend to deep condition your hair before you do a long-term protective style, because I'm not one of those people that believe that you should do the most and like be washing your hair and like doing stuff when you're wearing a long-term protective style, just because I feel like that's the point of a protective style, just to give you a break from doing your hair. So I feel like if you do a detailed job to make sure that your hair is moisturized, clean, and all that before you install the style, it will give you more time to just live your life and not think about your hair, while still maintaining the integrity of your hair. Every time that I have done this, I usually do her hair, you know, and I don't experience any form of breakage or anything like that while she wears the protective style. And even though sometimes she wears the style for up to 4 weeks or even more, you know. So I feel like before you put in the style, make sure you do everything you need to do to make sure that your hair is clean and moisturized, so that you don't need to do much while you're wearing the style. So you guys can see I'm done rinsing out the deep conditioner after leaving it in her hair for 30 minutes. Now I'm going ahead to what am I saying? Now I'm going ahead to re-wet her hair and apply some shea butter. Shea butter is the deal. Shea butter is the reason why I can say all these things that I've been saying and keep her hair moisturized and juicy all through the period that she wears the style. You guys will see I'm going to be using a lot of shea butter in this video. So the first thing is wet her hair, and then I'm applying the first layer of shea butter on her hair. You guys saw earlier I basically distributed the shea butter all over her hair, And now I'm going ahead to smooth it into her hair to remove all those like bobs and like chunks of shea butter. You want to make sure that you distribute it evenly all over her hair. Now after applying that first layer of shea butter, I go ahead to divide her hair into sections. Today I'm using like 4 sections, and then what you see me guys do, what you guys will see me do now is braid her hair. The purpose of braiding her hair is just to stretch it, because I find that it will be easier for me to put her hair in box braids if it is stretched. Now, you don't need a blow dryer for this. You don't need heat to stretch your hair. You can achieve pretty decent stretch with just braids, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So, of course, I'm going ahead to wet her hair first. I feel like shea butter acts way better when applied on wet hair. So you guys saw I first wet her hair. Now I'm going ahead to apply the shea butter, and this time around I'm focusing on her hair, on her ends rather. So I'm paying attention to like pick her hair section by section and apply some shea butter on her ends. I do that all over this particular section before I go ahead to smooth the shea butter in. Like I said, you don't need to blow dry your hair in order to do box braids if you have fussy hair. If your stylist insists that you must blow dry your hair for you to have neat results when you're doing box braids, then that's a huge sign that you should change your stylist. You don't need to do that. I'm not saying using heat is totally wrong, but if you don't want to, like, there are so many other options that you can use. You do not have to blow dry your hair in order for your braids to be neat. Now, after applying the shea butter on that section, I'm going ahead to divide it into two sections, and then I'm going to braid each of the sections. So as I'm braiding the hair, you guys are seeing I'm first detangling her hair, obviously. So what I'm doing is gently separate her hair. If I find like knots or shed hairs, I still go ahead to remove. Every step of the way, you want to make sure that you're finger detangling. This is what will help you get the best results from finger detangling. I feel like I say this all the time, but I feel like at this point I am much better when I'm detangling with my fingers than when I'm using a comb, and that's because I've been doing this for years. So I have mastered the art of finger detangling. So many people say that your fingers cannot be enough to detangle your hair, you're still going to need to use a comb, blah blah. That's because you have not mastered it. It is 100% possible to detangle your hair without a comb. You can get like pretty good results without using a comb. I've not combed her hair in I can't remember the last time I combed her hair, like you know, and you guys can see, like, you cannot see like tangles and like knots in her hair, like, oh, she has not combed her hair for so long. I've been doing everything with my fingers, and you guys can see that her hair looks pretty fine. So as I'm braiding the section, I'm still going ahead to run my fingers through to detangle, and you guys will see later on in this video that I'm still going to apply some more shea butter on the ends. You guys can see I'm applying some more shea butter on the ends. Applying shea butter when you're doing box braids, especially if you have fussy hair, is what will give you the smooth, even results. Like, that is what will help your hair to blend with the extensions. There's just something about shea butter that helps to elongate the hair, not so much as make it straight, you know, but it just helps to elongate the hair and makes it easier to blend with extensions and basically easier to manage. So like I always say, if you do not have a jar of shea butter in your house, I highly recommend that you get one. If you do not have a jar of authentic shea butter, because if you are using fake, you're not going to be seeing all the benefits that I'm talking here, you know. So you need authentic African shea butter. Get you some, and your hair will thank you for it. So you guys can see I'm done braiding her hair. So I left the braids in her hair till the next day, just so that it is dry, and this is the next day. Now I'm going ahead to unravel the braids. If you don't know how to box braid, you don't know how to braid your hair, you can also do this even if you're going to be going to the salon to do your hair. Just stretch your hair the day before, just so that when you get to the salon, it's going to be easier for the stylist to handle your hair, especially if he or she does not know what he or she is doing. Like, if he or she is not experienced with handling kinky coily hair. So now, after unraveling the braids, I'm going ahead to part her hair. I find that it is easier for me to first make all the sections, like part her hair completely, before I go ahead to start doing the box braids, because that just helps me to plan properly and arrange everything neatly. Like, if I part then braid, you're going to get to a point where you probably be tired and get lazy and start doing random parts and big parts and things like that. So but if you start early, like if parting your hair is the first thing you do, I feel like it gives you better results basically. So as I make the parts, like as I section the hair, I go ahead to loosely braid the section, just get it out of the way, so that everything will just be neat and seamless and orderly. For this particular day, I decided to go with triangular parts. As you guys as you guys can see, I don't know why I can't talk today. As you guys can see, I decided to go with triangular parts. Now this is the only time where I use any form of tool to do her hair, and that's because I do not have long nails, so obviously I need like a rat tail comb to make neat parts, and that's why I'm using a rat tail comb to do this. So after parting the hair, I go ahead to finger detangle again, you know, just smooth the hair, dig my fingers through, remove shed hairs. If I feel knots and tangles, I undo that. Basically just finger detangle that section, and then I go ahead to braid it out of the way, just like a loose braid, just to keep that section intact so that it doesn't merge with the other sections that I have done.
It was just a misunderstanding. You waited in the rain for hours, and I couldn't say the right things. No, I checked your number twice, then I went home. But I wanna let you know that, yeah, everything about you.
After parting all her hair, this is what it looks like. All the sections are triangular, and I actually love how it came out. And this is the advantage of parting before you start doing the box braids. It gives you more room to plan, so that everything is just more orderly. And if you start doing the box braids and you for whatever reason you're not done doing it that day, you can always style this to look like a style. As you guys will see later on, even if when I start doing the box braid, this still looks like a vibe, this still looks like a really nice style that you can obviously wear. Like, this looks so nice. It's so cute. Anyway, so after parting the hair, the next thing you're going to do is start to do the box braids. You can prep the extension that you're going to be using. I did not include that in this video because I feel like this video is already long as is. I don't want it to be too long. So what I do is take each braid that I have sectioned, unravel the braids before then I start to do the box braid. So what you want to do is take the hair or rather the extension, right? Then divide it into two sections. You want to make sure that one section is almost like 2 times the other section. So you put those two sections, or like those two groups of hair together to form like a chain, as you guys can see, something like that. And then the smaller section, you join it together to form one section of the braid, and then the big section that is it becomes 2 sections. So at the end of the day, you have 3 sections that you're going to braid. I hope that makes sense. And then you place that on your hair, arrange that with your hair, and then you start to braid. I'm going to give you guys a better view of what I mean later on in this video. But basically, as you braid your hair, you want to go ahead to continue to apply some shea butter along the length of your hair to help your hair blend with the extension. You guys can see I'm done doing this braid, and you guys can see, like, you can barely see the extension, like the natural hair within the extension. So now let me give you guys a better view of what I'm talking about. So take that section, take that hair, or rather the extension, divide it into 2 with one section bigger than the other, and then place it together to form a chain. The smaller section, join it together to form one section of the braid, and then the bigger one will be 2, right? Then you place that on your natural hair, and then arrange your natural hair in such a way that it aligns with the 3 sections that you have previously arranged to form the braid, and then you start to braid. This takes a little bit of practice to master it, you know, like but the more you practice, the better you get at it. Another thing I want to say is that you want to make sure that the quantity of extension you are using is proportional to the quantity of hair in that section that you're braiding. I don't know if that makes sense. So you don't want your extension to be bigger than your natural hair. So if you guys see this particular braid I'm doing, compare this braid to the previous braid that was done with, the previous loose braid that was done with just her natural hair, and you guys will see that the difference in thickness isn't much. Like, it's about the same thickness, right? That is what you're hoping to achieve. You don't want the section that you're using with extension to be bigger than the section that is just with your loose natural hair. If you do it that way, the weight of the extension will be too heavy for your natural hair, and that can cause uprooting of your hair and obviously thinning if you wear box braids for a long period of time, or if you wear them frequently. So you want to make sure that the quantity of hair that you're using is proportional to the size of the section that you're doing, and basically like the density of your hair in that section. And like I said earlier, as you're braiding, you want to continue to go ahead to apply some shea butter along the length of your own natural hair to make it easier for your hair to blend with the extension. Apart from that, this applying shea butter on your natural hair will also make your hair remain moisturized within the extensions, right? So even if you wear this style for weeks without moisturizing your hair while in the protective style, by the time you're going to be taking down the style, your hair is still going to feel really soft and really juicy, just because you have sealed it properly, and so it will not dry as much. I hope that makes sense. I think I'm making sense, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. And when you get to the end of your natural hair, you want to apply even more shea butter to make it easier for the end to be elongated and then to blend with the extension. Also, you want to make sure that as you're braiding your hair, you're braiding tightly, like so that the overlapping of the braid is like really firm and taut, so that there is no room for your hair to like coil out of the extension. This is what will help your hair to blend seamlessly with the extension. And this, you guys can see all the braids that I've done. You guys can see like the braid is within the section of the hair, and then as you move after doing the braid, you want to make sure that as you move the hair in various directions, you feel no pain and you see no tension. That is how you know that it is not too tight. Another thing I want to talk about is when you get to your edges. For many people, the edges, the density of hair around the edges is usually less than the density of hair around the rest of their hair. So you want to put that into consideration when you're making your box braid. You want to make sure that when you get to the edges, you reduce the quantity of extensions that you use. You don't want to use the same quantity of extension that you use for the rest of your hair as you don't want to use the same quantity on your edges. If you do that, the extension will be too heavy for your edges, and that is what another thing that can cause thinning of your edges and breakage, right? So you guys can see the extension that I'm using for this particular section, that is her hairline, is like half the quantity of the extension I used for the other ones. And that's because, as you guys can see, the hair around that area is not as dense, like it's not as thick, it's not as coarse, rather it is fine, you know. So you want to make sure you put that into consideration when braiding. And that thing you want to do when you get to the edges is you want to make sure that it is loose as loose as possible, right? You don't want to put any form of tension on your edges, right? Because if you do that, especially if you have fragile edges, you will cause breakage, you will cause damage. If you guys see all through her hair, even for the rest of the hair, you guys will see that there is really no tension. Like by the time I was done doing her hair, like she could not feel any form of tension or like, oh, I just did new hair, you know. So it was pretty loose. And even for the edges, as you guys can see, I made it even looser just because I don't want to cause any form of breakage. I also recommend that you allow your edges to stand alone in a braid, right? Instead of trying to force it into like a bigger braid behind, just because you want all your braids to be uniform in size. There's no problem even if the braids around your edges are smaller than the rest. The purpose of allowing your edges to stand alone is that if for one reason or the other, because sometimes when you're doing your hair, you may miscalculate and then you may end up doing maybe the edge is too tight, or the extension that you included was too big for that hair around your edges. If you do it separately, standing alone, it will be easier for you to just unravel that and probably redo it, or just unravel it and just braid your own natural hair without any form of extension. It is also a good idea to part your hair in such a way that it will be easy for you to cover your edges, just in case you decide to unravel the braid around your edges and leave it to stand like alone without any form of extension. So after doing it, you guys can see the difference in size between the hair around the edges and the rest. You guys can see like it's basically half the size. So after doing everything, this is what her hair looks like. We ended up finishing the hair the next day. So this is what it looks like. You guys can see how juicy. Oh my god, like I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with the result. It looks so nice. Like the braids look so neat. You can hardly see, you cannot even see her natural hair within the braids. Like it's so neat. It blends so well. And even though the extension is slightly darker, I believe it's slightly darker than her own hair, but like it blends so well that you can't even really tell. Like it looks so nice. It looks so cute, and you guys can see it looks really neat. Even though I did not use a comb, I did not comb her hair, I did not brush her hair, like I used just my fingers, and you guys can see how neat it looks. Forget all those things that people tell you that fussy hair is difficult to manage. If your stylist keeps complaining about your fussy hair, that is a sign that you should change your stylist. Fussy hair is not difficult to manage. Yes, the techniques may be slightly different from handling other kinds of hair, but that does not mean that it is difficult. It is not difficult. It's only difficult if you are not experienced, if you do not know what you are doing. Fussy hair is not difficult to style. It's not difficult to manage. It is not, you don't have to put your hair through stress and through torture just to get it to look neat. You can get it to look neat with minimal stress and minimal effort. And I really love how this looks. Like the braids look so juicy. You guys can see how loose the braids look. Like even on this first day, she can literally move her hair in all directions without any form of pain. And I really like how this looks. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you share this video with your friends. See you guys in my next one.
Lo mismo.